Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter from CARTERMATT.com.
This is your Blue Blood Season 10, Episode 2 reaction. In this video, we're breaking down Jamie, Eddie, taxi cab killers. Well, I guess there's only one, but still, a taxi cab killer. Not good news.
Nope.
Vincent Rella. Bad news for Danny. Beyond all of that, Aaron, Frank, they're fighting. Let's act shocked. Let's act like this did not happen at any point over the course of season 9.
Coco?
Yeah,
I
Coco.
am shocked.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Coco Chanel, clearly very shocked. It's either that or she's just being really, really happy to be getting a petting. Anyway, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because every Friday we are gathering around the metaphorical Reagan family dinner table. We don't have like the dinner rolls or the salad, but really, I don't know.
This doesn't need to turn into a mukbang.
No, you don't want to watch me talk about Blue Bloods with my mouth full. Like, I don't think that would work very well.
No.
But, all right. Where do we begin? How about this week in Jamko?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, where should we begin with this?
Let's talk about how crappy it is that their schedules are so misaligned. It's so crap. I'm not having it. I'm not feeling good with it. The minute that they were kind of like, oh yeah, so I left you a steak sandwich in the fridge for breakfast. Okay, see you later, bye. Just like trading off the shifts like that. It's wah, wah. I'm not into it. I don't like it.
Well, let's ask this interesting question here because last week on the premiere, it was decided that Eddie would sort of take the night shift at the precinct. Would this show, or would have at least Eddie been better off if she had just gone to a different precinct and gotten to work during the daytime and actually had like more of an actual consistent schedule?
Yeah, I understand that she likes working where she's working. She's worked there a long time, and why should she move? But she's not really getting to work with Jamie anymore, and that was one of the things that she really liked, and one of the things that he really liked, and the thing that we all like, and now they're not on the same schedule together. I get that she's got some friends there, but she's a likable person. Could she not make friends at another station and at another precinct, and then she gets to see her man a lot more often? It just feels like it would have been a better trade-off to be able to spend more time with Jamie at home, go to a different precinct, make new friends, and everything's good and they're on a better schedule. Does that work for the show? Yeah, then it's the Reagans, and then Eddie's over at this other precinct doing whatever she's doing, and we only get to see her at night. So I understand why she didn't leave, but if this was real life, I'd be like, yeah, I can make some other friends. I'd like to come home and see my man and actually be at home with my man. So
here is the struggle for the Blue Buds writers room. I'm sure someone who has this very logical point of view that you have goes in there and suggests this, and like you said, then they have to be like, oh wait, we have to fit another storyline into every single episode where Eddie's not going to be colliding with Jamie all that much, and she's not an OG Reagan. That's going to cause problems. So this is the situation that we effectively have. But somehow, some way, they are finding ways for their stories to intersect beyond just steak sandwiches.
I just feel like, and I don't know anything about cops or how many sergeants are at a station, if there's 3, if there's 1, if there's 5. Can't she just work on the day shift but maybe not work under Jamie? Is there nobody else that's there?
I'm guessing it is probably just because it doesn't sound like there are really, really strict rules banning it. I think they're just being very, very careful and trying to just toe the line because they don't want to get in any trouble. And I think because they know it's their last name, there's sort of like the big alarm that somebody's going to press that is the Reagan favoritism alarm where everyone is...
I agree. That's why I'm suggesting, is there nobody else that she can work under? There's only one sergeant and it's only Jamie, and there's nobody else that's working there, so that maybe she could work under Sergeant Carter. And I'm
a sergeant now, everyone. I don't know why this is this international symbol for being a sergeant, but this looks like I'm doing a jig.
But why can't she work for you instead and not for Jamie? And that way she can work on the day shift and not work for Jamie, and now there's no problems. Everybody's happy. Jamko's together during the day, kind of, but they really get to be together at night instead of, hey, baby, there's a sandwich in the fridge for you. Okay, have a good day. I'll see you never.
You know how Frank used that expression of not my circus, not my monkeys?
One of my favorite expressions. I heard that tonight, and I was like, yes, I love that expression.
In Sergeant Carter's edition of the NYPD, it is all a circus, where you have me as the ringleader doing the jig as I'm wandering around and giving people orders. But rather than going further down that rabbit hole, because don't get me wrong, I could cast the entire circus right here and now, but let's talk about this main issue that they're dealing with, where the taxi cab killer is on the loose. Eddie is the one who kind of comes up with this idea of a decoy operation where you get somebody undercover in the car. She wants to do it. She's raring to go. She's doing her version of a jig, and then all of a sudden, it comes in. Guess what, Eddie? No, you're not getting to do it. Instead, Jamie, you're being ordered to do it, and you're gonna like it.
I get why Eddie is pissed off. She wanted the gig. It went to someone else. It went to her man. Yeah, that sucks, but all of the reasoning behind it should make sense to her, which is that this killer's been targeting male cab drivers. She is not a male cab driver, so is it likely that she's even going to be able to be bait? No. And Jamie is also right in just saying he was ordered to do it. Why is he supposed to be like, no, you can just pass it over to my wife here.
Yeah.
Where's the favoritism in that?
Press the alarm.
Like he was in a no-win situation. He can't say no. He can't suggest his wife. That's not a thing. And so everybody's unhappy.
Yeah.
And they're not even really home enough together to get pissed off about it.
No, they're just in a situation here where there's no real winning, except in the end they find a classic Blue Bloods compromise, which is, this is the situation, we got to deal with it. And then you have Eddie sort of watching this really pretty cool, like, taxi cab fight scene unfold.
Yeah, I was going to say, they've really amped up the action this season. It's not that there's never any action, but at the beginning, in the premiere, we had Danny kicking a car on fire, kicking open the trunk and carrying out Maggie. And then this time we've got this crazy, car and swerving and fighting with the gun and out the window. And it was pretty cool. There's some good stunts happening this season.
Yeah, I give it a plus for effort in terms of the action standpoint of it. And I also...
Which is interesting, too, because this show doesn't need it.
No.
So it's just this extra little bit of frosting and sprinkles and cherries on top of this already delicious sundae. It doesn't need it, but man, it's fun.
Here's, I think, the thing about it. Like, let's run with this analogy a little bit further. Let's say you never have any frosting. So you're always craving that frosting, and then you finally get it. It tastes even sweeter. It's like if they did this every week, we'd be like, yeah, all right, that's fine. Another cab chase, not a big deal.
I don't know that I would feel like
I
that.
would be numb.
Okay, because I watch Hawaii Five-0, and they always have some sort of crazy stunts happening and people jumping off buildings and riding on top of trucks, and this is blowing up, and that's blowing up, and this is on fire every week, and I live for it. So if that was happening,
you want all the frosting.
I want all the frosting. I will bathe in frosting like this. So if I have a chance to have a little bit more action in each episode, I'm here for it. I like it. It was really cool to see a little more of that in Jamie, a little more of that in Danny. I'm waiting for a little more of that coming out in everybody else.
I'm waiting for the Halloween episode when Erin dresses as a superhero and then saves someone from a burning building.
It's true. Well, we saw her running in
that's
with
true.
a gun too. So I mean,
everything is happening.
They're bringing some new elements, or a lot of these elements this season that I really like. They're changing it up a little bit. Not a lot that it's taking away from the Sunday that it is, but they're adding a couple extra things this year that I'm into. I'm living for this.
All right. So also, we have a moment in here which is a nice sort of parallel, because last season we have a situation where Jamie sort of rushes in and tries to save Eddie.
Yeah.
And now this time around we have Eddie helping to save Jamie, and it's also like an echo, and they mentioned this too, when Jamie and Eddie got engaged, it was Jamie being saved. That was like the big light bulb that was just like, oh, I need to propose to this person. That's the light bulb voice, but
I see.
Everything connected. It's too bad this is not actually going to change back to Jamie and Eddie maybe see each other for like, I don't know, weekends. And that's pretty much it.
Wah, wah.
By the way, one little thing before we move on. Jamie, you're sergeant now. You can buy a bigger TV. It's okay. Like, did you see the size of that TV that he was watching? It was like, I don't know, it was like the size of this monitor on this laptop, which is not all that big. He's like trying to watch football or something on there. It's like, dude, I wouldn't be able to see any of those people's names. Plus, you're probably rooting for a New York team. They're probably losing anyway. Okay, well, let's move on before all the Giants and Jets fans just destroy me in the comments. You know I'm right. But anyway.
Leave the comments below.
Let's talk a little bit about Aaron. Because I gotta say, this final scene in this episode with Aaron and Frank toe-to-toe at the dinner table, probably one of my favorite, like, Bridget Moynihan performances on this show in a while. Like, it was kind of just, like, steely-eyed and intense.
Yeah, and the whole thing about it was Frank actually changed my mind from when I went into this episode. When she first brought up this sort of naughty list of people that weren't that reliable and may get her cases thrown out because of who they are, all of that made sense. And I was like, yes, okay, this makes sense. You want to have people that are a bit more reliable, that the judge would see as reliable, that they can't bring up marks from their past and say sorry or whatever. So I got it. Until that moment at the table when Frank pushed the papers across and was like, and here's our naughty list with all you guys on it. So now let's have this conversation again. Oh, am I on this list? I don't know. Are you on this list? Yeah, I was like, okay, I get it. But I still get it from both sides of this. Yeah, you don't want to have someone who's unreliable testifying, but you still want somebody. It feels like it's more of a case-by-case basis. That it has to be a situation where you're looking at each officer and what it actually was that they did in the past. So is it that they stole a bunch of stuff, or they extorted somebody, or they killed somebody? Okay, maybe they're not reliable. Is it somebody who was a situation tonight where it was just someone's word against another? Well, they're not unreliable then.
Yeah, like, I think it's all about nuance. It's all about sort of just, okay, what are your infractions? Is it you stole a metaphorical donut from, like, one of your partners? Or did you actually, like, go in and rob a donut shop? Like, there's a big distinction between the two, and, you know, you gotta weigh this sort of stuff out. But to me, the problem with this storyline is just that you could see it coming from all the way in New Jersey, how this was going to end, that it was just like, okay, eventually, Aaron and Frank, they're gonna come together, they're gonna realize, oh, we're both a little bit right here, so let's just try to find a way to figure things out. The only part of it that I really appreciated that was different was sort of Aaron, I don't want to say reading him the riot act, but she was just basically like, I am not the district attorney, I am not making these rules, but I must stand with him. And I almost wish at a certain point she was just like, and you gotta deal with it, Frank, because I feel like that would have been the moment that made me like get up and be like, yes, Aaron.
It's true, yeah.
And you know, I like Frank, don't get me wrong, but I think I like Aaron standing up to Frank very much.
Yeah, and because these two are going to continue to go toe-to-toe every single episode, they're going to have something. It does need to balance out where sometimes Frank is winning and sometimes Aaron is winning and sometimes Frank is winning and sometimes nobody's winning. It's got to kind of be like that.
Yeah, and ultimately, you got to kind of have an even record by the end of it. Like, by the end of the season, you got to be able to look back and be like, okay, Aaron's won this many battles, Frank's won this many battles, they've had some ties. I think they arranged things well in this episode. I think it worked well. Like I said, I love that scene at the end of it. Usually I'm fine with like the subtle like police fanfare and the sound effects at the ends of all these different scenes, but at the end of that one I was just like, all right guys, can we tone down the music a little bit, because I'm like all in on this Aaron and Frank conversation, and then in the background it's just like playing this like trumpet. I was like, okay, I don't need the trumpet right now, guys. Just let me have my scene. All right, let's talk about your guy Dan coming back as Vincent Rella.
Yes, I really love this actor. I first saw him in The Addams Family. He's been in basically everything under the sun. He's that guy, that actor that you're like, man, that guy, that actor, he's so good. And he's so good in everything, and he's in everything. So it was really exciting to have him back on the show.
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't the most complicated story, I think, to explain, with Danny going to him and trying to use him in order to explain the virtues of witness protection in some ways. It's sort of just like, there's two central issues here in my mind. Number one, don't put all of your eggs in the former mobster basket.
Yes.
That feels like that's not always going to work out well. Number two, don't always put your eggs in the, hey, person who was on witness protection for a long period of time, tell someone else when you don't actually know what it's like to be in witness protection.
Or even just to have that conversation with Vincent, to
Yeah.
ask him, what was it like for you? And that way he could say, well, Danny, it was really terrible, so I'm not going to be able to give you what you want because it sucked.
The thing I really wonder here, Vincent Rella has a very thick accent. Was he really able to actually blend in at all wherever he was in like Kansas or Nebraska? It's probably like the first time they've ever seen someone from New York.
Yeah, that's a good call. It could be like that.
Yeah, I don't know what went on there in Vincent Rella's past. That can be the Blue Blood spinoff that we've all been eagerly awaiting for.
Maybe he's really good at accents.
Maybe really, you know, Dan Hedaya went like full character actor with Vincent Rella, but that's another rabbit hole at this. All right, I liked this story just because it did give us a sense of, okay, Danny, great detective a lot of the time, but Danny's not always great at seeing things from other people's points of view. And I think we kind of saw that play out. At the same time, I was kind of just like, okay, you know, I like Vincent Rella. It's good to have him back on the show. But ultimately, and I know this is something we talk a lot about even before we do these videos, is what storylines matter? What storylines are we going to really be remembering after the fact? And I mean, 3 weeks from now, when the two of us are on here and we're talking about Blue Bloods, are you going to remember anything from this storyline?
Probably not. And
Yeah.
it's mostly the only thing I'm going to remember is that Dan was in this episode and that he really killed it.
Yeah. Well,
For this
yeah.
that particular storyline. The other storylines, like what happened with Frank and Aaron,
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that. And what's happening with Jamko, I'm going to remember this because it's affecting them and it's going on for longer than one episode and it's changing things. But as far as Vincent's story and Mob Guy 1 and Mob Guy 2 and Girl Who's Not in Witness Protection, that's as much as I'm going to remember of that.
yeah, I think Blue Bloods, they have this every now and then where you just have a storyline that just, you know, it has some good components, but at the end of it, it's just like, oh, okay, that was yet another Blue Blood storyline.
The thing that I will remember from the storyline and what seems to be a little bit of a theme this season for Danny is that he is in some ways, and it's small, but I've noticed it, starting to open his mind to other points of view. And I know he's not that great at it, and he hasn't been that great at it, and he's very stubborn, and he feels what he feels. But I feel with some of the people that have been coming in, like Maggie, like Vincent, that have been happening already this season, I know we're only 2 episodes in, but his mind, it's opening a little bit, and that's pretty cool after 10 seasons. It's a long time to be playing the same character and to actually see that character having growth. You don't want to watch the same character 10 seasons in a row just be exactly the same. So it's cool that that's happening this season with Danny.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's more compelling for us too, because you don't want to watch the same show every time. Plus, if every episode was the same, you would be seeing Jessica and I coming on here and talking like the teachers in Peanuts and just sort of being like, wah, 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 and then you could give your own variation of that back at me. But, Exactly.
Hopefully nobody's watching anymore. at
We're
this
19
point.
minutes in, everyone. Have a drink. Okay. All right. So anyway, we will conclude this Blue Bloods video, but I want to know from you guys, what did you think about episode 2? Tell us your favorite storyline, your least favorite storyline. Who was the MVP? Who won this episode? To me, it was Aaron, but I want to know from you guys in the comments. And also, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking out the link in the description to the CARTERMATT store. And we'll see you here next time.